Good morning, guys. Today we're going to be going over 10.6. I'm feeling bad that we're not going to get to be back in class this year, but I am impressed with how well you guys are hanging in, and I think you guys are awesome. So anyway, we are going to be talking about solving quadratics with quadratic formula again today, but now we're going to be talking about complex solutions. So remember, a complex number has a real part and an imaginary part. So we're going to be basically doing the same thing as yesterday, the difference being that the part under our square root in our quadratic formula is going to be negative, which will give us imaginary parts of our solutions. So let's first, again, remind ourselves, just write it down over here. The discriminant is it's b squared minus 4 times a times c. And then the quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of the discriminant all over 2 times a. So on number 1, remember the first thing that we need to do is get this into standard form. Oh, also today on your assignment, 10.6, you're only going to be doing odds. Okay, so you don't have to do the whole thing. We're going to be moving this 11 and this negative 9n over to the left-hand side. Again, it doesn't really matter. I could also subtract the 10n over the 10n squared over to the right-hand side. But remember, anytime a term changes sides of an equation, it's going to become the opposite sign. So to get this in standard form, I would bring the negative 9n over and make it a positive 9n. I'd bring the negative 11 over and make it a positive 11. It's going to make it equal 0. So now that we have it in standard form, we can go ahead and find a, b, and c. So a is 10, b is 9, and c is 11. So we'll find the discriminant first. The discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. So in our case, 9 squared minus 4 times 10 times 11. 9 squared is 81. Let's see, 4 times 11 is 44, and 44 times 10 would be 440. So let's see, that would be equal to negative 3, I think it's 359. Let me just try and quickly double check. Yeah. All right, so through negative 359 is our discriminant. So now we're going to go ahead and put this in our quadratic formula. So negative b, in this case negative 9, plus or minus the square root of negative 359 all over 2 times a, and a again was 10. So remember, if I have a negative under my square root, that means it's imaginary, so I would just put an I in front of square root 359. And then over 20. I think 359 does not break down or simplify. And in fact, 359 is a prime number. So because of that, we can't simplify this any more than this. So this would just be our answer. So remember, this plus or minus in here means we have two solutions here. One is negative 9 plus this stuff over 20, and one is negative 9 minus the I square root 359 over 20. All right, let's try number 2. So on number 2, again, we need to get this in standard form by bringing the 2 over to the left-hand side of the equation. So we're going to have 11k squared plus 2. Those ones just looked funny. Equals 0. So now that it's in standard form, we can see that a is 11, b is 0, and c is 2. So to find the discriminant, b squared would be 0 squared minus 4 times a times c. So 0 squared minus, that would be 44 times 2. So this would be negative 88 is my discriminant. And I will go ahead and put that in the bigger formula here. So negative b would be negative 0 plus or minus the square root of negative 88 all over 2 times 11. So the 0, of course, would go away. So I would just have plus or minus I square root 88 over 22. Now 88 looks like it'll break down, so that would be 8 times 11. 11 is prime. That would give me 2 times 4 and 2 times 2. So because we have two 2's underneath, I can bring one out. So this would be a 2i out front. The 2 and the 11 are both alone. They would have to stay underneath, get multiplied back together over 22. So now we can look at the parts outside of the square root. Remember, I can't simplify anything under the square root with something that's not under a square root. But the 2 over 22, I can simplify that to 1 over 11. So I'm just reducing that fraction of 2 over 22. Okay, remember if I have a number in front of the plus or minus, it would also have to have the same common factor in order to do all three, but because that one went to 0, we can just look at these two. And remember, it has to be the number outside of the square root that simplifies with it. All right, we're just going to do a couple more examples here, and then you guys can get working on the assignment. Remember, today you only need to do odds. All right, number 3, in order to get this in standard form, we're going to have to move this negative 2k over and make it a positive 2k. Remember, it comes second in order here to make it standard form. So there's my equation in standard form. A is 10, B is equal to 2, and C is 2. My discriminant would be B squared minus 4 times A times C. So that's 4 minus 80, or negative 76. So negative B plus or minus the square root of negative 76 all over 2 times A minus 10. So this gives me negative 2 plus or minus I square root 76 over 20. Looks like I can break 76 down. This would be 2 times 35, 38. This would be 2 times 19. And I believe 19 is also prime. So this would be negative 2 plus or minus 2i square root 19 over 20. And now because 2, and 20 all have that common factor of 2 in them, I can simplify this to negative 1 plus or minus I root 19 over 10. All right, so number 4, we need to move that negative 6m over, make it a positive 6m on the other side of the equation. So now we have standard form. A is 7, B is 6, and C is 9. The discriminant would be 6 squared minus 4 times 7 times 9. So that'd be 36 minus, let's see, we got 28 times 9, which is 252. So 36 minus 252 is equal to negative 216. There's my discriminant. So then I've got negative B, negative 6, plus or minus the square root of negative 216 over 2 times 7. So this is negative 6 plus or minus I square root 216 over 14. Let's see if we can break 216 down a bit. So that would be 2 times 108, which would be 2 times 54, 2 times 27, 3 times 9, and then we've got 3 times 3 for the 9. So I've got two 3's and I've got 2 2's. So I'm going to bring out 2 times 3, which is 6i. And then we have still 1, 2, and 1, 3 left underneath, which becomes a 6 underneath. And underneath here we have a 14. So then it looks like for 6, 6, and 14, each of those three numbers have a common factor of 2. So that would give me, I'm coming back up here to write my answer. We got -3 plus or minus 3i square root 6 over 7. All right, guys, good luck with these today, and I hope you have a great day.